Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do a knife ramble talking about why I'm so picky. So, why am I such a nitpicker about knives? Why do these little things bug me? Why do I sell knives instantly sometimes? So that's the kind of thing I want to talk about today. It also goes into my collecting and how I see the collection and all that stuff. You see what I'm trying to do here? And then my OCD brain takes over, and this needs to be on this angle, and that has to be on that angle. It's not perfect. Let me get a sip of this water here. Look at that, spring water from Lidl. All right, so here's the thing. I'm picky for a couple reasons. One, I do have like the non-diagnosed OCD, aka I just say I'm OCD, where certain things just bug me, and if a knife has that thing, it will bug me to the end, and I just have to sell it or move it or whatever, right? Another big reason for me being picky and why I don't force myself to be picky, but it just kind of like in my brain correlates, is I'm not made of money, and that means my collection has to stay at a certain level, right? Excuse me, and it will slowly grow and get bigger. Again, guys, I got into collecting around COVID, so like me having 50 knives or whatever is a lot, I think, for somebody who started 2 years ago. And I've gone through hundreds, you know what I mean? But I'm not made of money, so I try to keep the collection down. I have to, right? So I have to find ways to limit it. I can't just pick willy-nilly, let's sell that, and that, so that I only have 3, right? I find aspects of things that I don't like. I have to force myself to not like it so that I can sell it. There are a lot of knives that I sell that I like, obviously, but there's got to be a reason to sell it in my mind, right? This is the WE Knives Roxy 3. This is my favorite WE made knife ever. It's actually like just one of my favorite knives ever, I think. It's so good. Todd Knife and Tool just killed it on this one. I love the tiger stripe. So size, and then another key factor for me is carrying knives. So let me explain that. I don't have safe queens. Like, I'm not the type of guy who has a knife like, say, this custom Gavco Nurse, right? It's a liner lock Nurse. I don't have knives that, like, are really nice or whatever that I won't carry or use. I will carry and use all my knives. Is there an extent to which I use a knife? Yes, because if you watch my last ramble, I don't do crazy hard use stuff often with knives, right? And when I do, it's usually just like I grab a certain knife that I know I'm going to be doing something, and I grab, something I've had for a while. Like, for example, this Asher Nomad 2.0 has been my basically like, outdoor work type knife for over a year. And I mean, even then, it's not super beat up or anything. And I've also used this Quiet Carry Drift for that kind of stuff. Last year, I used it for a bit for like, when I did outdoor, outdoor garden. What the hell am I trying to say? When I cut the lawn or whatever. That's the kind of shit. I have a couple knives I like to use for that stuff, but mostly I don't go crazy. So having a custom knife in my pocket doesn't usually mean I'm going to have to worry about doing something weird. And I always have 2 knives, so I can always take the cheaper one out and use that. But point being is I don't have safe queens. So I carry and use all my knives. And if I don't carry a knife, then I need to sell it. That's just, I have to have reasons to move knives because, again, I'm not made of money. So, yeah, if I had the money to just keep all the knives I bought, then I would probably, right? Because who wouldn't want to have all the knives, But I kind of find it fun. That's another factor here. I kind of find it fun to decide what knives are staying and going and that kind of stuff. It adds a layer to collecting, so to speak. I use that term collecting just meaning I'm in the hobby. I'm a knife dude, right? So I'm collecting. That's just the term I'm using. I'm not really like a collector, I don't think. But whatever, you can decide that for yourself. I don't know. I don't care, really. Sorry, it's my daughter's monitor. I just put her down to sleep before I started these videos. So if I don't carry a knife for a month, that's usually my threshold. Like if I look over at my knife case and I go, oh man, I haven't picked up the Kvist Bladeworks custom variant number 22 in a month. Why is that? And then I start to try to figure it out. And I'm like, well, why haven't I carried that? Is it because I was waiting on something? Like there was a couple weeks where I didn't carry this because I was waiting on a custom slip to come in so I could carry it left-handed better. And I figured I'd just wait till it came in to start carrying it again. That's a different story, right? By the way, I love this knife so much. So I'm just using it as an example. But there'll be knives I'll look over and I'll be like, hey, I really liked that knife when I reviewed it, but I haven't carried that in at least a month. For example, the Ferrum Forge Knives Stinger here. This is a gift from my good buddy Jake, Bearded Gear. I actually just recently took this apart, cleaned it, and I think I tried to lighten the detent a little bit again so we could get a little better balance. No lock rock between action and drop shut, and I think I nailed it, so that's good. Anyway, for example, I rarely carry this knife, and it's just because I don't know. I have other knives. It's on the budgety end, and I don't know. It's not super exciting to me, I guess. It's a great knife. It is an excellent knife. So it's not that, So normally this would be sold. This is a situation where this would have gotten sold, right? Have been sold. Probably given away, honestly, because it's, well, with the scales, it's over 100. But usually if a knife's under 100, I tend to just give it away. Maybe under 75. Like real budget knives, I tend to just give away. It seems like more of a hassle to sell them. Sorry, I'm just rambling. So this would normally be a knife I would sell because it's been sitting there, haven't carried it for a month or so, and I could turn that into another knife, right? And I open up a space in the case. That's kind of how it goes. I'm like, I look at my knife case, which has about 60 slots, so it's pretty big. It's a Apache 3800, I think, that I plucked to fit 60. If I could do it again, I would have made like less spots and made them a little bigger, but I do need to invest in like a nice knife case at some point. But that means, less knives because I'm buying that. Same reason I haven't bought a nice sharpening system yet because I could use that money for knives. But yeah, I look at my knife case slots as like real estate and dollar signs. You know what I mean? Like this knife is taking up a slot and it's, $120 or whatever, right? Like it's a $90 knife with $75 scales. I could probably get $100, $120 for this. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know the market on stingers, honestly. So like that's how I look at them. I look at knives and I just kind of see dollar signs sometimes. And I have to admit, as of late, the unsellable knives are growing. So I think I might need to start a new case, like a smaller one. And it's going to sound like I'm just doing that to try to be able to buy more knives. But honestly, the knives like this, so this was bought by Jake for me, right? So I'm not going to sell it. I know if Jake were here, he'd say, dude, I don't care at all. You know, you can sell it. But I'm not going to sell it because it was a gift from my good buddy, a best friend, Jake, right? Then, like, those type of knives are adding up at this point. This stupid-ass knife is an M-Tech, right? It's an M-Tech Evolution. I mean, it's an M-Tech. S35EN titanium frame lock, though. I mean, it has good action. Dude, this knife is an enigma, and it's just insanity. I hate this knife with a passion. And that's why Lewis, Addicted to Knives, check him out, gave it to me. I did a video on it, and he knew I hated the knife, and I hate the fact that it's kind of good for being an M-Tech. So he gave it to me. So, like, I can't sell this. I can't give this away. This has sentimental value now. You see what I'm saying? Those type of knives are adding up. And they're just taking up too much space at this point. I have, you know, these type of knives. You know, these shouldn't be in my main case. Like, I need to free those slots up for real knives. But I'm not getting rid of this. This is a gift from Issuing Stitches, Bobby Stitches. Check out their Etsy store and Instagram. They sell hanks, which are amazing. You can actually use my code LeftyEDC on their Etsy store. But, like, this thing is awesome, to be honest, and I love it. But, again, sentimental. It's not, you know. So I just have a lot of those type of knives, like the Shadow Ranger and, you know, the Mermaid. Shout out to Eggs and Ham, who got me this one, and his wife, Katie. So I have like 15 slots in the knife case taken up by stuff like that. And then that doesn't count the stuff that was like sent to me by a manufacturer, right? Like, I have been talking about and promoting. When I say promoting, I mean like telling people how good they are, not like being paid to promote. Asher knives for years now. You see that? Hold on, let's just see that again. So, and I also have a discount code, LeftyEDC at AsherKnives.com. So basically my compensation for you guys awesomely using that code is I get basically one of every model when they come out. He sends me one and I get to review it and then I get to keep it, right? I give away a lot of them, but I also like a lot of them, so I keep them, right? And those are in the collection. I can't sell those. I would never do that. That's just, I don't know. I just don't do that with knives that a company has given me. And maybe I need to change that at some point. Or I'm going to have just knives stacking up. But that's when I give them away, you know. Some people will say, well, sell them, dude. Just use that as part, you know. It's, you know, value or income to your channel. Like, I get that, but I don't know. I just don't want to do this push button. It's so good. Anyway, I don't know where I got off track there, but so I am trying to limit what goes in the knife case, and I have to sell things to get new things. Basically, I'm at a point where when I buy a few knives, I start having to sell a few knives because, one, not made of money. I got to make some money back. Two, I need to free up space because I feel like my case gets too full, and then I'm like, I'm going to sell some stuff. So, like, yeah, if I had it my way, I'd probably still own 50 or 60 knives that, like, I sold, that I liked enough to keep, but I just sold because I either hadn't carried it or I just needed some cash, right? So that goes into the whole picky thing. That's why I'm picky, because I need to be able to get new knives, and I have to do something to do that. I have to sell knives, give knives away, and I need money to get new knives, and I need space to get new knives. And I need reasons to move the knives, and that helps me be picky. Another factor is I'm left-handed. Being left-handed inherently makes you extremely picky when it comes to knives, because as a lefty, a lot of just basic frame locks do not work, especially if you like reverse flicking, because you end up on the lock bar. So like that's why the Roxy 3 stands out so much to me, because it works so well naturally for me personally, left-handed, where there's a lot of other knives that don't. And so that helps with the whole, I don't know if my reasoning here is making any sense. I think I'm also just a little bit OCD. Like I said, I say that term. I don't really have a diagnosis or anything, but like things stick with me, if that makes sense. So like, this is the Mallory Designs Forest, and I love this knife. If all of a sudden, like, I just started feeling blade play or something, like a little bit of blade play here, it would start bugging me. Like, I can't just be like, okay, it has a little blade play, like, I'll get to it eventually, right? And then, like, keep flicking it or carrying it or whatever, and then, like, it will bug me until I do something about it. And then a lot of times what happens is I can't do anything about whatever it is. And then I'm just like, okay, I got to sell it. Or it's just not a good night for me because it does this or that, right? And I think that is kind of the OCD part of it, where I think a lot of people would just be like, okay, there's a little bit of blade play. Like, it's not a huge deal. Or it has a little bit of rock, or there's a few voids in the carbon fiber, where that does happen on marble carbon fiber, and voids don't bother me. So there's certain aspects that do bother me and certain things that don't. Detent. So, again, another thing here about being picky is detent. All of these have great detents. That's why they're still in my collection. Being picky about detents is a very good way to keep your collection down, because detents are hard, guys. They're hard to get right. And when companies get it right, it's really good. But it doesn't happen all that often. So it's a good way to keep your collection down. So that kind of takes us to what I am picky about, I guess. So we've talked about why I'm picky, OCD, the way I collect, basically, and how I'm not made of money, and I need to have slots in the case for a knife and whatever, right? So we've talked about that. OCD a little bit. I think I just said that, sorry. So let's talk about what I am picky about. Details. I'm picky about details, detents, blade play, centering, lock rock, detent lash, pivot lash, action in terms of just like closing action, grittiness, aesthetically I have some nitpicks. Like I'm very picky, guys, and I'm sure it shows in the videos, right? Because yeah, of course it does. Lock bar access, left-handed left ability with a knife, huge nitpick. Or thing I'm picky about. Sorry, I don't know why I said nitpick. But like detents. Here's the thing. I think it goes both ways. Like, yes, I'm picky and I'm very negative about knives when they have a shitty detent. But when a knife has a good detent, I'm like over the moon excited, right? That's when I'm creaming my pants, so to speak. And like the Malibu, nobody does a button lock detent the way ProTech does. I will say Sabibi is getting there. I'm impressed with what they did on the Altus. The Cogent, not so much, but love the Altus. But this is just, it's just so good. Kvist, the way he's doing the double detent ball detents is just, man, until you feel this thing fly out, you just don't understand it. The flattened ceramic detent ball Gavco uses, it just has this just crisp pop when it comes out. It's just so good. And then these two are traditional, but they're just dialed in. Like, we dialed the Rock C3 at this one in anyway. And Artisan, same thing on this one. And that's the thing. One thing I want to touch on detents is repeatability is hard. This one and this one, you're going to have, if you got 3 of these and 3 of these, they're all going to feel a little bit different. Detent's going to be a little lighter, a little stronger, right? This is a custom, this takes him hours to set properly. You know what I mean? So he can repeat it because he's doing it himself every time over and over. Same with Gavco, custom knives, right? And then with ProTech, I mean, they use a spring. So I assume as long as the spring is the same, like I've had like 5 or 6 Malibus and they're all relatively like exactly the same in terms of that detent. Just really crispy. There's not a lot of mush for a button lock. Button locks are really mushy. Like, handle a Slim Pickens and you'll know exactly what I mean. These are a lot better, in my opinion. Anyway, centering is another huge detail. Like, it bugs me. It's the OCD thing. If I see a gap that's larger on this side than that side, like this one almost has it a little bit. It's almost a little bit bigger on that side than this side, but that tip is dead center. So I can let it go. I can breathe. This one used to nag me, but it's just such a nice knife that like I can't complain about it. You can see the gap on this side is a little bit bigger than the gap on that side, but that tip, again, dead center. So it's okay. Dead nuts on this one. Dead nuts on this one. That's risky too. They use a line right down the center, but they nail it. And then this one as well is dead center. Details are super important to me. If a knife is just off center, like if this knife had been off center a little bit and I could not get it centered doing whatever trick or whatever, I would have sold the knife. Like, I may have tried to have gotten a replacement from Mallory. That's probably what I would have done because I like everything else about it. So, like, those little things will push me to get rid of a knife. Detent, centering, if there's blade play, or like you have to have blade play to get decent action. Like, it doesn't have to guillotine shut. Like, this doesn't guillotine shut. But it drops, and it's very smooth, right? So it's perfect for me. You guys get the whole detail thing. I don't know why I'm rambling about that. But anyway, that's kind of a look into why I'm picky and how it sort of manifests itself, basically, is the point here. Can I do it to all? Man, see the OCD? Yeah, and it helped. This did help me think about the collection a little bit and what I want to do. And I do think I want to separate my, like, keepers that, are I don't know how to explain that. Because, like, there are knives, like most of the Ashers that I still have because I've given away the other ones, that I keep because I love them. It's not just because I got them, from the company. So, but there are some knives I have that, in a world where I bought it, I probably would have sold it by now, so I just need to pull those knives out of my case, I think, and not count them. And then the gas station knives, they need to just be pulled out of the collection. It just would free up space and make me feel like I could expand a little bit more. And I think maybe that would make me less picky because I would have more openings in the case, more real estate, so to speak. And I think that would make me more open to things, which is funny because, like, I'll basically check out any knife and I'll buy any knife. Like, there's a lot of knives I buy not sure I'm going to love it or anything. Or I'll buy it even thinking I might not like it, but I just want to try the damn thing. So it's not that I don't try things, but I'm less apt to keep things for more than a review. You know, if you know what I mean? So maybe having a little more real estate will help me with that. But you know what? I kind of like my system. You know, I like that I feel I put pressure on myself basically to move things and sell things and keep the collection fluid. I just, like recently, the last week or so, have been not sending loaners out. So I've been saying, as soon as I do a collection video, I will start sending loaners again. But for now, I'm not, because I want to do another collection video. And I'm telling you, if you watch the one from last year, I think it was in April, and then you watch the one I'm going to do, it's going to be a completely different collection. I mean, I can only think of like 3 or 4 knives that are the same. There might be more, like there might be some that have rotated back in. Like I sold a Waypoint, now I have another one. But like there's not many that are going to be in that video that were in the last one, which is crazy, right? And that's just my habits and my tastes are always evolving. And I think that's the other factor here is I'm always learning new things. I'm always finding new things. Like this is an example, a knife with a swayback handle and no clip. That would have never been even a consideration in a million years a year ago. I would have just been like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that, right? When I first started collecting, all of these knives right here, I wouldn't even have wanted them because they're not drop points. I was obsessed with drop points, and they had to be under 3 inches, like 3 inches or less, I think it was, or 3 1/4 or less. Now I have a lot of knives that are 3.5 inches, you know. I think early on I wasn't a choil guy. Now I'm a diehard choil guy. Like it's just how it goes, right? And so with that evolves how picky I am about knives. But anyway, this was just to give you guys a little bit of a kind of background on why I am the way I am with knives. You guys, you know, you see me ripping knives to shreds sometimes that maybe you think is a perfectly good knife. And for me, I'm always looking at it like, would I want to keep it in my collection? I'm not looking at it like, is this a good knife? Like I have to stop myself a lot and just objectively be like, is this a good knife? Yes. Okay. And then I can continue the review. Because I'm always coming from an aspect of, would I keep it in my collection? And when I say my collection, I mean exactly that. My collection. In my knife case that it has limited spots right now. And I probably have to sell something I really like to keep that knife. So would X be good enough for that? Probably not. So it makes me a lot more, I can be very, what is the word I'm trying to think? Not criticism, critical. I can be very critical of knives that are probably just good, right? But to me, it's not good enough. So I have to kind of draw that line. Anyway, that was kind of the point here. It doesn't really make much sense, but, what does these days? So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. This was for sure a knife ramble. So apologize, there wasn't really a great point to it, but there never really is. So that's it. I love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.